To all my black entrepreneurs, we gotta do better, y'all. So tune in to the Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we help build better black businesses.
Hey. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your girl, Tiffany Nicole, over here living the CEO life, and that is Lash Trace.
Mm-hmm. What up, y'all?
Can I be a CEO?
Sure.
CEO.
We still have Mr. Shannon Newby here, the CEO.
The CEO.
I'm the CEO. I'm not having a conniption. I'm just telling you, I'm having the CEO.
I told her we should start a CEO version of CEO.
It just sounds weird. This is like, can we just have the CEO?
I appreciate that because everything is so male dominated.
It's so male dominated. I'm just trying to be in the room. Exactly. I just want to be in the room. That's all.
You can have your CEO.
That's right.
Thank you.
She worthy. Bow down. I got
she hive. She like the she hive.
Yeah, she hive. Yeah. We doing she things. Everything is she. Yeah. Anyway, we're back with Mr. Shannon. Okay, Shannon. Some resource. I know you have tons of tips and resources because we already talked about it in your business, how you just giving them out for free.
Yeah.
You should be charging people for this stuff.
Yeah.
But give us only a couple on this podcast. Other than that, we're going to get you a number set up that can call you for consultations in a payment system.
As a matter of fact, I just put on my website about doing talks and just have a podcast and things like that. Because I haven't. So one thing I do, I teach filmmaking in Philadelphia High School, and that's what I do. During the day. So yes, and some of my wonderful students who I love so very much.
I don't know that look, that side. I was like, some of my lovely students.
Love them, but if I sometimes it'll make my stress a lot better. Right. So tips on business. Where do we start? So I'll tell you this, and this is what I actually learned recently. So here's the first thing I'm gonna say is this: never stop learning.
Oh, very true.
Never stop learning. This is a lifelong. As long as you're in business, you got to keep learning, always. My bookshelf has just broke because I overloaded it with books. It's not even a joke. The shelf just went crack. I got a new bookshelf. I need a much bigger one. But you have to keep learning. Do not ever stop. Learning doesn't stop. If you want to be good at this. So again, like I just said, I just learned something in business just recently. So I'll share this. So. Earlier on in business, when I was doing my TV show, I was on WYBE, which is it was kind of like a second tier public TV station in Philly. That's where it started. Okay. I'm gonna tell you how I got the thing. A friend of mine said we were looking for content. I did a short film. It did really well. I'm just gonna skip over it. Did really well, and then I had a conversation about doing a TV show. They said yes, so we made a deal that I was gonna do 6 episodes of my show, and then there was no money coming to me, but I saw the opportunity of filling in this space and doing something, and so forth and so on. So, long story short, the show started in November of 2006, and then by April of 2007, it was the number one local show on the station by far. I had got the Nielsen ratings, and it was the number 4 show on the whole station. The only thing it wasn't beating was the Korean dramas. The Korean dramas
killing
massive.
it.
Killing it. To this day, people love the Korean dramas. Yeah. But it was real. It was by far the biggest show they ever had on the station, without question. Okay. I expected them to, lace me, love me, treat me. We got an office for you. We got to explain it. And they did not. They really treated me like the better the show got, the better publicity, the bigger the show got, the worse they treated me.
Really?
Right.
Wow.
Say, well, why would they do that?
Yeah.
Because value. Because here's this thing. So I don't know if anybody knows about the story of Three Stooges. This is a really good business story to look up, the Three Stooges. The more valuable they became, the studio did not want them to know that they were valuable, because if they know you're not valuable, then we can keep paying you at a low level.
That makes sense.
And so when I would go and I'd be excited, the ratings went up even further. I just got this, when this happened or that happened or whatever, this just happened. And they started acting like more nonchalant. I would call, I wouldn't even take my calls. And
wow.
I was and again, I wasn't asking anything, but they were just, it was almost like they didn't know how to deal with someone being, I'm going to just say this speculatively, like me being so successful with the show and being on the station, and me saying talking about the future, what we could do or whatever. And I would say I'm thinking I got ideas for this next thing. So everybody's got ideas. It was they just got real cold with me. It was
wow.
And the lesson I had to learn from that. So the long story short, Well, I'll tell you how we had a moment, but that's another story. I ain't gonna go into that side of it. But the show got picked up nationwide, so it was the first show to ever go nationwide out of that station. And
congratulations!
Thanks. So and the big thing was starting again public television. I was on 48 public TV stations across the country, and I went to Canada. And then went to Detroit. They were in Detroit. Detroit picks up shows. Went to Canada and got to Canada. And Canada reached out to me and said, I'm going to expand a bit, and so it got to other provinces beyond that in Canada.
Nice.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a long story. It's one of them. But again, so I'll say this too: you hear the success. Do you have any idea how hard I work to make that happen? So
only imagine.
The work, the second tip is the work doesn't stop either. So it's not, because here's the thing. I had a good product in the show, and I filled a lot of niches that were. So I was African American content. It was comedy, which was not a lot of African American content on public television. Just one, so they're always looking for African American content because it's not enough. Two, it was narrative, so they didn't have a lot of narrative stuff. They were doing a lot of docu-shows or whatever, because like the people that picked me up called NETA, the National Education and Television Association, who picked me up, like they had on their website, we're not interested in any home building shows, because at the time everybody's trying to do a home building show.
Yep.
So again, but they were looking to African American content. It was narrative, some storytelling. It was two.
Cooking shows.
Right, they weren't looking right. They wanted.
Okay.
Doing, what was I gonna say? Story related stuff.
Okay.
But they weren't looking for cooking shows. They weren't looking for that, because everybody was doing those.
Yeah.
And then
they still are.
Right. And then it being comedic was another thing. And then the quality was good. So it was, so I kind of, so when stations came across, and because you give it to NETA, and then they would say, they said, we hope we can get 10 stations to pick this up. So I was like, 10. I was like, for me, it's always like, is that the challenge of giving me 10? So if we hope we can get 10 stations, that'd be great. So, and they would give you this list of all these, they just gave you the station name, and then it would, in the address, and it was like mailing labels. So I was like, well, why would I take these mailing labels and stick one on a mailing label and just send it out? Right. So I immediately took the mailing labels, went to copied them, photocopied them, and then for every label, I looked up the station and found out who the program director was at that station, found out what they were, and I had books, and I had a thing, and I found everything, and I wrote down, it was like 300 different stations, and then I called every single one, and then I had like a key. I was like, okay, if they ever get answering machine, I had a little box of answering machine. If I got through, I would say got through. Are they going to take it, yes or no? And I called 300 stations. I would call the same station over and every day, over. Now that's diligence. And over, right. Yeah. And I sent, and then I didn't just send. They would send a DVD in the mail. I had a professionally, I got professionally, what they call a DVD. They weren't written on. They were you used to buy, you probably still, but you buy a DVD that's already printed with the label, so it look like something you buy at the store. Yeah. So right. So again, don't cheap. That's the next tip. Don't cheap your way out of it. Those little things matter.
They do.
Getting it printed on a professional printer, and I did have my DVD burners at home. Again, this is in 2007. And then I printed that, and then I had T-shirts. I had a defunct T-shirt business as well. So, but I made a T-shirt for every person, every station. I sent a DVD. I sent a postcard with literature on it. I sent a handwritten letter, a typed letter, and I personally signed every single one of the letters and sent the size. I sent all these packages out, and then after the packages went out, then I called every station every day. I had one through a list and say, okay, I'm going to do. I'll do 20 today, and then by the time I got down to 300, I went back and went again until I got a yes or a no or definitive. And yes, this was just relentless. So
that was the whole relentless.
Job. Yes, it was.
Be relentless.
So going through that process, it taught me. So anyway, so the lesson I just learned, because that's where we started. So going through that process. And then achieving the success that I achieved, because after I was there, then after going all the way around the world, because of course I tried WHYY Channel 12 initially, and they was like, because Philadelphia is the 4th largest TV market in the country.
Didn't know that.
And they, so they're trying to get on a station like WHYY. It's like, everybody is.
Yeah, because that's what I first saw at with WHYY.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but after I went all the way around the country,
then came back.
Then said, we're on 48 to 45 stations at the time, whatever. Here's what we have done. All right, we'll find a slot for you.
Of course.
But so I had to leave and go all the way around and drive to TV conventions at the time with my wife now. But By the time my girlfriend, like, we went to Columbus, Ohio for the TV convention with no money, and I got a shot at my big brother, Brian Anthony Wilson, who I love dearly. You know Brian.
Yep.
He's
been on everything.
Yes. I had the raggedest car in the world at the time. It was like the front axle was messed up, right? So you drive, if you hit a bump in the rain, the car would just jump lanes, like, bam! So I hope you ain't next to me, because, like, it literally, if it was raining and I hit a bump, I would literally just jump to the, it was that bad. And I was like, I'm just going to drive up there. He said, how you going up there and drive in the car? I said, are you crazy? You might not drive that car up there. So Brian rented me a car. And to this day, I appreciate it. Brian rented me a car, and me and my wife, or my girlfriend at the time, we drove up there with a cooler of bologna sandwiches. Make
it work. You made it work.
And it made it happen.
Exactly. And stayed in the Microtel Hotel. But it was profitable because it worked, and we got more stations out of that. Mm-hmm. And I say all that to say this. After going through all of that and getting to that level, I expected that, again, people will come and say, wow, if he was able to do this from this, they're going to, it's all going to happen. They're all going to come for me. And it didn't happen. And I did get very angry about that. I was like, I don't understand. So the lesson I recently learned was this. I was watching the Kanye West documentary, Jeen-Yuhs. I don't know if you watched that.
We watched it. I think every entrepreneur should watch it.
Yeah.
Seriously. And
the lesson I learned was that I kind of knew this already because I lived it, but this kind of solidified it for me. That Kanye, which I'm not going to speak because I was a big fan, and we're going to leave it there. So I'm not going to say I'm a big fan now, but I was a big fan. That he was after he did all the work he did with all the songs he produced, as big as he was, you would think that someone again would walk in and say, open the doors for him, and let him do what he wanted to do because he already proved what he can do. And then even when he was able to, when he was doing rapping wise, and other rappers around the industry were saying like, oh, he's hot, they still wouldn't sign him. And then they only signed him to keep him from giving the beats to everybody else. It was just a way to control him.
Disrespectful.
So, right. Yeah. And even so, even beyond that, then even with him in that position, he still had to make his own video, go to the radio station, get them to play a song. And basically, once he became a success on his own, even after being signed, then they finally opened the book and say, okay, here's your budget, here's your this, here's your that.
He had to put in years of work.
And he was a success, and he still, and they just, and what I realized is this. His vision for what he was trying to do was too different from what everyone understood as being what it should be. And the lesson I learned is like this: if your vision, the more unique your vision is, the more successful you're going to have to be before people will accept you. So you have to go out and basically prove yourself to the world to where almost like you don't need them. You can use them, but you don't need them for them to finally open up the books up and say.
That's exactly what he did.
Right, and that's what I had to learn from that. Like you have to.
That's deep, man. The more unique your vision is, the more successful you have to be in order for it to be
for the establishment to accept what you're doing. Right. And that was thank you.
So
I'm dropping jewels, y'all.
You're dropping jewels.
And that was the same thing with Tyler Perry because. People, everything Tyler Perry wanted to do, he wanted to make a movie. They laughed. Well, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. And you can like Tyler Perry work. You can dislike Tyler Perry work. I know, and I say this in the past. I've said some critical things. I mean, not never nasty, once Tyler Perry got to a certain level, and I saw the vision of who he is and what he has done, and his philanthropy, and how he has opened up things like this. I do not criticize Tyler Perry at all, publicly at all, ever.
Yeah.
And that's just out of respect because, and I think all his movies are great.
I feel the same way.
But I just can't. I made a decision. I will not criticize him publicly ever again because I just have so much respect for what he has done.
Him, his journey, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So he had to prove. So they did not accept him until he put out the movie Diary of a Mad Black Woman, the movie version.
Yeah.
Which there are some issues with as a filmmaker. And then
I watch movies so differently. Just from like doing plays and stuff. It's like, wait, this is not right. So we're just supervising. This something ain't right. Yeah, I have a hard time.
But he said, no, my vision is good. I know what I'm doing. People are like, oh yeah, right, buddy. So then when it made $30 million opening weekend, he was like, well, maybe he does know what he's doing. So he had to have him basically got to a level of success that he didn't even need them at that point. But it's like, I can use you to further my vision, what I want to do. But it was like, but he had to have that success level before, before they would that accept it. So if you are doing something unique, and you say I got something that's dope, and everybody around me telling me it's dope, and look what I did, and this is dope, and but the establishment won't, and if the establishment don't get it, it doesn't matter. You know, like for Kanye, say if he was a DMX, they would have picked him up right away because DMX they understood. They did not understand what he was trying to do. You know,
and they kept calling him the backpack rapper and all this other stuff.
Right,
it was
because
like
they
kept putting him in his box, and he wasn't really in that box.
Right,
there had been no Kanye up until that point.
Right.
So there was no proof that this could work as far as they were concerned.
On a large scale, right?
Yeah, they're like,
like, no, you're good at beats. Just
keep making them beats.
Yeah.
Right. And we got a rapper for you.
Yeah. But again, the people who are the most unique are the ones that go the furthest and most memorable in their journey. Alicia Keys is in the same boat. It's like when she plays piano, she sings like, yeah, but that's not really R&B. We don't know if we can use it. She's good. We know she's good, but we don't know where to put her. Yeah. So we put it, she's good, but it's like, how do you not? I mean, if it's good, then play it. What's the problem?
Put her in front of a camera. That's
they're just so stuck on putting people in the right lane.
Right. It's about boxes.
Like, it's like
a box.
Everybody doesn't fit in every single box. Like,
right. And that's Hollywood. It's like, what made money last week in a Marvel movie? Let's make one this week. That's the way they operate.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes when things are bad is when you get the best, some of the best creative things that happen. So in the 70s, and I use this as an example, in the 70s when the studios were doing really poorly. So Wizard of Oz, like they sold like Dorothy shoes, a prop now that worth millions of dollars. But they were in such a struggle, such a downfall. They were just trying to figure out nothing's working. TV is on the rise. People aren't going to the movies. What do we do? So then they started saying like, well, let's try some of these young filmmakers. Maybe they can do something. That's when we started getting the Steven Spielbergs and the Kubrick and the George Lucas with Star Wars, and because they didn't know what to do and they were reaching, so they reached out and like, all these different. They just start. Let's just trying stuff. Let's try stuff.
I didn't know that.
Right, and because those guys probably wouldn't have got recognized if they weren't struggling, right? You know, and
it's time for a change,
right? Because the industry was a different industry, but prior to that point, I think it was like they were talking about Guys and Dolls, like one of the last months that musical kind of thing, where it's like they expected Guys and Dolls to be this big thing with Frank Sinatra, and it was just like middle of the road. It's like we don't know what to do,
right?
So, so that's the next tip is this, be aware of what's going on, because just because something's working this week and then maybe work next week. Doesn't mean it's going to work a month from now. Pay attention. This is a tricky thing. I'll say it this way. Always stay with the value of what you create and not worry about what everybody else is doing, but keep your ear to the ground to see how trends and things are changing. Because there are a lot of movies right now that were made that we were going like. Think of come a movie like even something from. Revenge of the Nerds. I don't know what I said. Revenge of the Nerds. Remember that? So, the movie like Revenge of the Nerds would not even, if it gets made at all, it's going to be made with a smaller budget compared to what it was then. It would not go to the movie theater. Like movies like that don't make movies no more. They don't go to movies anymore.
They don't.
And again, not the movie is bad. They just would not. It's just not worth the value. The trends have changed. Everything is streaming now. Right. Yeah. So if you're not aware of that, you can be making a movie today for something that happened for a time for a couple years ago, and by the time it's finally done, I mean, I was fortunate because I started in '97, and then I got out nationwide in 2003. Trains could have changed drastically in that time. Yeah. I mean, things don't move as fast as they do now.
Sure.
But I was fortunate as well that I got right in a time where the urban movies thing was going crazy. Everybody's the urban movies and East Siders and Snoop Dogg movie and Master P was making movies, and they were looking for that. And my film was a quote unquote urban film, but it was not like those other movies. You know? It was a different, bit of a different animal. Excuse me. So, I guess that was my tips. Resources. There's tons of resources. I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about things in particular. So, if I say it this way, for filmmakers, I'll just say for filmmakers, think about Philly Cam. I always say Philly Cam. Join Philly Cam. I was on the board for Philly Cam for a little while years ago. I say it this way: if there's a will, there's a way. There's actually a lot of free resources that exist if you're willing to do the work to have them, or there are a lot of resources that exist that if you are willing to get past that first initial thing, people will help you. And here's the thing: if you show people that you're serious, because even when I was making my Dirty Laundry, my movie, I didn't have a professional microphone, and because of the work I was doing and what I was trying to do, and I was working at CCP at the time, And I was like, well, I wasn't there. I was there, but I wasn't there. I'll say it that way. But the guy who worked there was, saw the work that I was doing and saw how serious I was. And said, you know what, I'm gonna loan you a microphone. Of course, he wasn't supposed to do that, but he loaned me a microphone. Because I didn't have a professional microphone. For the film, but it was because he saw that I was serious, I was intense, I was, every time he told me like, this is the next level I'm on, I got this done, and he realized that I was serious about it. I said, okay, so
he saw your investment,
right?
And yourself, yeah.
So I mean, if you want people will help you if you show them that you're serious about it. Because everybody wants to get on board sometimes, just say like, I knew you way back when,
Yep.
I remember when you first started, and people tell me like, no, you didn't. I started way before you, baby. But you just saw me when I started getting successful.
Exactly.
That's what you saw.
Exactly. You saw the good stuff.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, thank you, bro. That was a good segment.
Well, you're welcome.
Yes. Listen, man, you leaving us with some content-filled segments here.
Content. Okay. Gotta get the content.
So
I need some more Henny. No, I'm sorry. All of a sudden, water. No, we drink water.
Yeah, water-flavored Henny.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to go over to the book club segment.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all, with Shannon Newby. This is the Entrepreneubians. We'll be right back with the book club. Stay tuned.